Hey everybody, Sandman here. I have an awesome announcement to make. I am starting my very own Locksport group here in Austin, Texas. I have been going to Locksport meetup groups since 2010. I actually went to my very first one in Denver, Colorado. I started it myself. I just put out a post on Craigslist saying, hey, I do this funny hobby. Is anybody interested? I'm also a locksmith. I can provide tools and locks. And two people replied, and we met at a public park, and they had tools, and we sat and we picked for like 3 hours. I stayed in touch with one of those guys for years. So I absolutely love the benefits of being able to meet with people in a public environment, sharing my hobby, my passion for Locksport. You find people that you have things in common with. You're able to teach people. I was able to give them locks, stuff that they, like progressively pinned Schlage key and knob cylinders. It was a lot of fun. That being said, I've been to Locksport meetups. I went to the Locksport meetup at a hackerspace in LA run by Datagram in 2012. I've been to the Longhorn Lockpickers meetup group, which is here in North Austin since 2013, I think was the first time I went. And I've been going at least once or twice a year to that for the past 11 or 12 years. And I've been to East End Locksport, which is in Houston. I've been to the Houston Locksport, and also in Houston. I've been to Alamo City Locksport meetup group, which is in San Antonio. And I even hosted one time Bobcat Locksport, which is San Marcos Locksport, but I hosted that here in Austin just one time. And a few others that I'm probably missing. I've also taught classes on lockpicking to security professionals, and I've taught to Marines, and I've taught to martial artists. So I taught, I taught in Iraq, I've taught in Camp Pendleton in California, I've taught in Kentucky to martial artists, and I just all over the place I've been teaching. I've been running Locksport groups on social media since 2015, 2016 timeframe, I think. Like Art of Lockpicking. I used to be a writer for Art of Lockpicking. So I've been engaged in the Locksport community, giving help where I can for at least the last decade, but I never really stepped up to the plate to be a teacher. I really enjoy going to Locksport groups and just chilling out and not trying to step on anybody's toes who is running the group and teaching the group. I really just like to just show up, try to blend in, and just pick locks. Anybody that's ever seen me at these Locksport groups will know that that's the person that I am. I literally just show up. Sometimes I'll even set up a table away, and because I don't want to be confused with being an instructor, and I don't want to accidentally or inadvertently throw in my 2 cents because I'm excited about sharing the hobby. I've decided to create my own Locksport group for a multitude of reasons that just make sense. Reason number one is I don't drink alcohol at all. Like, I've just never been a drinker. When I tell people that, they're like, oh, did you have a problem? Were you an addict? No, I wasn't an addict. I don't have the palate for it. Beer tastes terrible to me. Alcohol tastes like, nothing tastes good to me. So I don't drink alcohol, and I was a bouncer for 10 years, which I was really good at being a bouncer because I didn't drink the alcohol. A lot of the other bouncers that usually work for 10 or 15 years are usually functional alcoholics. So being in the bar industry for 10 years gives me a level of stress that is not comfortable for enjoying a hobby that's supposed to relax me and supposed to be enjoyable. When I go to a bar, I only go to a bar. I don't take my wife to a bar. We don't go to bars. Neither one of us drink. When I go to a bar, it's because somebody's employing me to keep the peace. And I have to dress a certain way. I have to carry myself a certain way. I have to look a certain way, and I have to talk and act a certain way. When I go to a bar to pick locks after 10 years of doing that, I have trouble dropping my guard, and I have trouble just enjoying myself. So I don't find that being in the bar environment is conducive for me enjoying this hobby. So I found what makes complete and total sense is I found a game store. I found a venue called Tribe Comics and Games here in Austin, who is excited about hosting my future Locksport meetups. I'm very excited to be working with them on this. They have so much table space. I think they have like 12 6-foot individual tables. So we can host 20, 30, 40 people inside air conditioning. Some of these, some of these Locksport meetup groups are very limited to the table space, and some of them are limited to having to meet outside. I remember For the longest time, I used to meet with the Longhorn Lockpickers in North Austin at Spider House Cafe since 2012, 2013 timeframe. And you used to have to bring bug spray because they had all type of like little fleas that would be biting on your legs if you didn't wear socks and pants and wear bug spray. And it was just, you know, in Texas, it gets to 109 degrees sometimes, 170 degrees, not including the heat index, which could be another 10 or 15 degrees higher. It's just not comfortable to pick locks in Texas outside 6 months out of the year. So finding a venue that doesn't have alcohol and finding a venue that's indoors, that has table space, that has air conditioning, I'm just very fortunate that I'm doing that. I've noticed that some of the other Locksport groups, like there's a Bobcat Locksport that meets at a Dragon's Lair, which if you're into comics and you're into Magic the Gathering and tabletop gaming, Dragon's Lair is amazing. There's just not one close to me. Which brings me to another reason why I'm creating my own group. The Longhorn Lockpickers is the second oldest Locksport group in all of America, and I've been going to them for 12 years. I don't run that group, but the problem with me going to that group on a regular basis is they're 35 to 40 minutes away from where I live without traffic. I live in Southeast Austin. I live on the border of Austin. I live closer to the edge of Austin, and I live closer to the nearest town than I do downtown Austin. So to go to North Austin or downtown Central North, whatever, is hard because we have so much construction where I live that one time it took me somewhere between 45 to 55 minutes just to get to the Locksport meetup group, and I got there and they had canceled. So I'm stuck. I'd driven almost an hour and now I got to drive almost an hour back through the same construction. And I was like, this is not conducive towards my lifestyle, which is trying to enjoy this hobby. I'm having to get myself amped up and uncomfortable going into a bar setting, which I don't like. And then I'm having to wonder if there's going to be a meetup, and if I get there, how long it's going to take to get there. It's just, it wasn't working for me to make these long distances. I absolutely love the North, or I don't even like calling them a North group. They're not even far north of Austin. It's just from where I live, there's lots of traffic on I-35. They're building a double-decker highway on top of the lower level highway. They've already been doing construction ever since I moved here in 2012, widening the highway. Now they're building a highway over our highway. So the construction never stops, and it's typically in the evenings, at night, on the weekends. Just is what it is. I really love the Longhorn Lockpickers. I love being able to go and visit with them, but the setting is not ideal for me. I don't like being outside. I don't like being in a bar. I don't like driving 45 minutes to go pick locks. Also, I've been picking, some of these groups have had the same locks for over a decade. And so whoever takes on the leadership of these groups inherit the locks that somebody made an investment in or procured 10 years ago. So some of these groups that I've been going to for over 10 years, I've been picking the same 30 locks for 10 years. It's kind of weird to pick up a lock and be like, man, I picked this 12 years ago. So I have been making a very huge investment in the last 6 months. I have like $1,000 worth of locks that I can now bring with me, almost over 100 locks, just that are brand new, all padlocks. I understand the ranking of them. I'm using the Karate Belt ranking system. And so I just feel like I have a lot to bring in that aspect where I can just show up. I bring 100 locks or more. I have 450 locks in my collection probably at this point. I just spent $200 today on locks, on like 20 or 30 locks. So that's what I want to do, is I want to be able to bring fresh hardware to the scene in an environment that I'm comfortable with, that's within 15 minutes drive from me. And I think that's going to be super awesome. Also, on the note of locks, I will also be working with manufacturers who want to offer me wholesale pricing and some other advantages for running a group. It doesn't mean that I'm sponsored by anybody. It just means these people are like, hey, we want to help you get tools in the hands of your group members. So we will give you an unspecified, discount. So that way we can give you our bottom line. You can then take these tools, sell them to new members at retail value, so that way you can get, or less, to get tools into their hands. And it's not so I can make profit. It's because people will show up and they become addicted, and they're like, how can I do this more? What do I need to do? What should I buy? And I can just be like, here, this is what I have. You don't have to buy this, but this is what I have. Otherwise, these are my recommendations. I have a YouTube channel. I have over 150 videos. I have Instagram, that's been active for over a year. So I feel like I have a lot to give to these people in that aspect. So I am working with manufacturers. I am not going to be working with any manufacturers that are seeking exclusivity. Sometimes manufacturers want you to only work with them, and they will give you wholesale pricing if you're only willing to work with them. I have currently found manufacturers that don't want exclusivity. They like the idea of what I'm doing. They want to support what I'm creating. And they said, we don't want you to be exclusive to only us. We want you to be willing to use any tools, and we want to get feedback from you and your group members on what you like and what you don't like about our tools. We just want to support what you're doing. So if you're a manufacturer and you're of that mindset, let me know, and I'd love to work something out with you over the coming months. So that way I can get more tools in the hands of these pickers. I don't want to be brand specific to anybody for this project that I'm doing, which is to bring Locksport to the people. Another benefit of being in a game store is I'm trying to legitimize our hobby and create it into an actual respectable sport. The only way we're going to do that is, in my opinion, is to pull it out of the bars and bring it into the game shops. For whatever reason, I don't see a whole lot of people playing checkers or chess in some of these bars, or even Magic the Gathering or Dungeons and Dragons. Even though Austin is one of the most hipster towns, I don't see people actually playing tabletop games in these bars. But yet, Locksport pretty much started in a lot of bars. I know that the first Locksport group was in Boston, in America, and the second one being Longhorn Lockpickers. It makes sense. It gets the college-age crowd out of the dorms and out of their house or their apartments and gets them mingling a little bit. People enjoy alcohol. It helps, loosen up a little bit so they can kind of relax. This is kind of a risque subject. I get that. It's just not for me. I want to put this in a game store, and I want to have competitions. Another problem with meeting in some of these bars is that we don't have a lot of table space. There's a lot of eyes on us, and people feel uncomfortable leading a group. So it's not an environment where somebody can get up and be like, hey guys, we're going to talk about this lock, or we're going to talk about these tools. We're going to talk about this entry method or this particular technique. It's not a learning environment. It's really not. I remember one time I went to a Locksport meetup 3 years ago, and there was a live comedy show 5 feet from us, because we're in a venue where they have a stage, and every Saturday they either have live music or they have live comedy. So a comedian comes up on stage and they're trying to give a show. Meanwhile, one of the group leaders is talking over the comedian, trying to teach some new people how to pick a lock. And the comedian doesn't know what to do. The comedian's getting flustered and like, hey guys, I appreciate all you lock pickers here, because there's like 20 of you. Could you kind of keep it down here? I'm trying to do a 2-minute set or a 5-minute set. And the guy in the group did not care. He didn't listen. And finally I had to look over him like, dude, gotta be quiet. And he kept talking. And finally I was like, dude, shut the like, I had to tell him to shut up. And he took offense to that. And I will never be able to fix that. I'll never be able to get him to understand that this is not an environment for us. This is an environment for the comedy show, and we were just allowed to be here. But some of the group leaders don't understand the venue. I do, because I've been in the bar industry for 10 years. This is not an appropriate hobby to have at a comedy show or a bar that serves alcohol. It's just not. I want to make this sport accessible. That brings me to another reason. When you put this hobby in a bar, it relegates people to the age of 21 and up. In Texas, the drinking age is 16 if you're with, like your parent, but most bars, it's also up to their discretion. And I don't see a whole lot of people drinking in bars. When I was a bouncer, I would card everybody. As soon as I walked in at 8 o'clock, I would see people that looked like they were underage. I immediately card them. They're like, oh, well, I'm with my dad. I'm like, I don't care. We're not serving minors in here. I'm not doing a DNA test to know if this is your dad or your boyfriend or your pimp. You're gone. Sorry. So that being said, The average age of the people that are going to these Locksport groups are 21. That's great. I like that we're teaching to people that have fully developed brains and fully developed minds, so we're not teaching people that may incidentally use this for nefarious purposes. But because it is in the bar, we do get people that may not be seeing this as a hobby. Maybe they are just curious, and maybe they do want to use this for nefarious purposes because their original intent was just to go to a bar to get drunk and to drink or to be with friends. If we put this into a game store, then we gamify it. And then we can bring people of all ages who are with a parent or guardian. I don't feel comfortable teaching someone under the age of 18 how to pick a lock unless their parent or guardian is with them. But if we get people that are like 15 and they're with their parent, 16 with their parent, or they're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever, then they can all enjoy this hobby in a nice, safe atmosphere without having to worry about somebody bumping into somebody spilling a drink. I've been going to these Locksport meetup groups to bars for so long. I have so many stories of me having incidences with people that were at the bar for not the reasons that we were at the bar, where I'm there to enjoy my hobby. This person's here because they're just a drunk. And I have lots of stories where that happens. Like one time I was picking up a lock from the middle of the table. I went to go sit back down. Some guy walked over to me and he stuck his hand in front of my face. And so I was like, oh, well, hi. And I looked up and I shook his hand and he picked a fight with me. And he was like, you know, a little bit of respect would go a long way with me. And I said, excuse me? And he's like, a little bit of respect would go a long way with me. And I said, I don't know what you're talking about. And he goes, you almost bumped into me. I didn't bump into him. I almost bumped into him. I said, I'm sorry. I didn't know I almost bumped into you. I didn't see you. And he goes, that's fine. So then he continued to sit down next to me and he wanted to learn how to pick locks. And I'm like, if this wasn't in a bar, this situation never would have happened. If this was in a game store, people will show up with the intention of being nice with each other. And it's a different demographic of people. I totally get that these bars are trying to get people to come in, relax, enjoy themselves. They're college age. I get that. I'm 40 years old. I'm a war veteran. I don't have anything in common with people that go to a bar at the age of 21 or 22 or 23 and they're going to a university and they're coming here to like meet other single people. I'm married, been married for 10 years. I don't have that in common. What I do have in common with lockpickers is I love playing Magic the Gathering. I collect comic books. I got some Ninja Turtles back here. Like I'm still a kid at heart, but I need to be able to be in an environment that feeds that. And I think the game store is just the most perfect idea for our hobby. So I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody who does have their Locksport group meet in the bar, but we spend so much time. Since 2007, I've been picking locks. I've been in the community since 2010. I've spent the last 15 years trying to convince people I'm not a criminal. Why am I meeting people in a bar at night to teach them how to pick locks is beyond me. So it just doesn't make sense to me. We should be doing this in game shops that are willing to facilitate this. I know it's hard, but I'll never understand it. Again, I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody that is doing that. I totally get when the Austin group has been meeting at a pub because like the Longhorn Lockpickers. The Longhorn Lockpickers are very famous because they were started by Jonathan Gordon in 2007, and he was a student at University of Texas, and he eventually actually became an employee of the University of Texas inside of their IT department or cybersecurity, whatever. So he maintains all of their network and Wi-Fi and everything, and the security and the physical infrastructure side as well. And so he was able to keep the group running because he ended up working for the university that he went to school for. They call themselves the Longhorn Lockpickers because the mascot of UT is the Longhorns. So every time I ever went to the Longhorn Lockpickers, historically speaking, the first 10 years anyways, from 2012 to 2022, majority of the group is typically going to be University of Texas students, university students. I never went to a university. I was in the Marines for 4 years. I fought in Iraq. I got out. I went to Afghanistan as a contractor. I'm a combat veteran. And so I don't have a whole lot of dialogue that I can have with these people that allows me to assimilate into that culture other than picking locks. And there's that common ground there. However, if I can gamify this thing and bring it into a game store, I have so much more I can talk about here. Like, you know, like I'm looking at all of my comic books up here, and I just have so much to bring to the table as what I have in common with people that would be willing to meet me at a comic book or game store versus going to a bar. That's all. And so the college crowd, you know, I think it's cool. They've been keeping it alive with the college crowd. I think that's wonderful. I just would love to bring it to a game store and see if I can find like-minded people. I have failed at this. I have tried to run my own Locksport group in the past, and I asked the group to meet me at a Golden Corral because I was like, you know what's great? The ability to eat buffet style food, get what you want. You have food allergies, you like this, you like that. We have a little bit of everything. We have tables in the back, and we can sit down and we can take our time. We could be here for 5 hours and just keep eating. Wouldn't that be wonderful? That was back when I was 312 pounds. It was gross. And it did not work out well. I stood out like, oh man, I was the only person in there that was Caucasian. And because I live in Texas, so we have a lot of Hispanic community, my wife being from Mexico as well. And so I was the only one in there that was a white guy, and I'm like rapping on some locks, like I'm picking locks and rapping on some locks. I was bumping some locks, and these poor families are looking at me like, what is going on? Like they just have never seen that before. And that's when I was like, okay, I got it. I understand why I don't want to be in a restaurant, but I still don't see the value of being in a bar. I need to find a gaming space for this, a private space, a quiet space where this can work. So I have failed at this. I don't feel like I have all the solutions. I don't feel like I have all the answers. And I absolutely love meeting with the Longhorn Lockpickers, and I love meeting with Alamo City Locksport and Easton Locksport. I'm going to continue meeting with all these people. I'm just trying to explain why it hasn't been working for me and why I haven't been regular in attendance, and why I've never wanted to create my own group and then just meet in a bar. It just doesn't work for me. Also, out of complete respect for the Longhorn Lockpickers, which are 35 to 40 minutes away from me, so it's not logical for me to drive there all the time. Even though it's only twice a month, I hate the drive. And I don't like going into downtown. With complete respect to them, my meetings are going to be on the opposite weekends from there. So they meet every other weekend. I'm going to meet on the alternative weekends from them. I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm not angry with anybody. I'm just super excited to start my own thing with my own image. I'm bringing hundreds of my own locks that are all brand new. I'm bringing tools from manufacturers that are going to be giving me wholesale pricing. I'm putting an environment that's accessible to all ages, and it's going to be a less stressful environment for me and hopefully for other people. And I just can't think of anything. I can't think of a better venue than a gaming shop. I just think that's so cool. I'm going to start putting on competitions here in about a month or two. And if the competitions go smoothly, and I think they will because I have enough locks and I have enough experience doing this, that I think it'll be fun, that now that I'll have my own venue that's hosting, it's not mine, but now that I have the opportunity to have a group in a venue that is more comfortable, I can start holding competitions on a regular basis. I can start holding classes and instructionals on a regular basis. It's just going to open up so many more ideas. It's just going to be so much better. Also, I think I can make this a central hub for other people. It's going to be hard to hold a Locksport competition in Houston at their bar because it's a small venue. It's going to be hard to hold a Locksport competition in San Antonio who meets at a bar because they're limited to reserved table space because it's a popular venue. They serve food and beer and pizzas and stuff, and so they're limited to how much table space they can have. But this space has 12 6-foot tables, and you go in on a Saturday from 5 to 8 and it's empty. You know, I went there today on a Sunday at noon, and it was full because it was noon, and you know, people like to get together and game, but I could have easily showed up with 4 people and we could have snagged a table and just started picking if I wanted to. So I'm very fortunate that they are allowing me to meet. I have alternatives. I have a whole list of alternatives. Should something go wrong, should the owner of the venue say, hey, we have free comic book day, hey, we have a book signing event, you know, hey, we have somebody reserving this space, we have other options. And so I have like 3 other options that are awesome. like just really good options. But this is my number one, and so I'm looking forward to doing that. I'm going to provide a link to the description down below to my meetup group page and to the Instagram group page. I'm still trying to figure out the avatar or the group image. It has to be a certain pixel size, 675 pixels by 600 or 1200 pixels by 675 pixels. Doesn't matter what I do. Doesn't accept any pictures or images that I put in there. But I rest assured the group is still alive, and I have all the information, the address and everything down in there. Instagram, still trying to figure out what we're going to use for our group logo. The name of the Locksport group right now is going to be Bat City Locksport. So Austin is known for two things. It's armadillos and it's river bats. We have bridges that go over the river that runs through Austin. It's called Ladybird Lake, but it's so weird because it's totally not a lake. It's definitely a freaking river, but they call it a lake. And because it leads into Lake Travis. And so like rivers do, but whatever. So we are known for the bats that hang under the bridges, and at night all of the bats fly out, and it's a big tourist attraction, and you can see bats. I live in the suburbs of Austin. I live like 10 miles, 15 minutes, 20 minutes from downtown Austin, excuse me. And we see bats all the time just running around our house. So Austin is known for its bats. I thought it'd be cute also because the Longhorn Lockpickers are known for the Longhorns being the mascot for UT, and Longhorn Lockpickers were started by a university group. Well, I didn't go to a university. I went to Austin Community College for 10 years. I still don't have a degree. That's the old joke. Lots of people go to school for 10 years. Yeah, they're called doctors. So I went to Austin Community College. I got certificates instead of degrees. I got a welding certificate, woodworking certificate, stuff like that. And so, but our mascot was the River Bats. So I thought it would be very appropriate to call my Locksport group the Bat City Locksport group, and to have our mascot as the bat. And, you know, because the Austin Armadillos just didn't roll off the tongue when you add Locksport to it. I wanted Locksport or lockpicking to be in the name so people know exactly what we're about. So, but anyways, Bat City Locksport here in South Austin. Our first meeting is going to be on May 25th, and we're going to be meeting from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. The store closes at 8 p.m., so we'll start wrapping things up around 7:45. So we're meeting for 3 hours on Saturday. This coming Saturday, May 25th, Tribe City Comics. It's in the Connors Shopping Center. It's between Torchy's Tacos and Jersey Mike's Subs and the UPS store. So if you are in Central Austin, come check it out. If you are in Texas, we're not too far from you. I highly still recommend that if you are in Texas or if you're visiting the state of Texas, to check out the Longhorn Lockpickers. They have amazing leadership, and they have amazing instructor cadre, and they have a whole group of people that have been going on and off for the last 15 years. You might even catch somebody that's been going there for almost 20 years. I would love to recommend to the Easton Locksport people. That's my home away from home. I love those people. They're the nicest people in the world. Man, I love San Antonio group, the Alamo City Locksport. They meet at a pub that's like a brewery. I forget the name of it, but they have their own Instagram page. I think they have a meetup. They may have a Facebook, and I have videos of them. So if you're curious about the San Antonio group, just look through my videos. I'll have Locksport meetup groups and competitions playlist. And the San Antonio group, the brewery that they meet at, has the best chicken wings I've ever had in my life. They're Korean barbecue chicken wings. They're so good that my wife is going to be taking me there for my birthday. So I can't tell you enough how much I love the food there. I love going to all the groups. I don't enjoy going into bars and trying to relax and enjoy my hobby and then try to use that space to teach people. It just doesn't make sense for me. So I'm doing my own thing, and I have a lot to bring to the table. And sometimes I go to these Locksport groups, and the group leader will have his locks on the table, and I don't have room to put my locks on the table. And so I'm kind of just stuck with picking a lot of these locks that are beat up, or they were salvaged, or, you know, the shackle's been cut, you know, or the locks are 15 years old. I think it's going to be awesome to go into a space where we have multiple tables that we can take over, and I can take tables and I can put beginner locks on one table, intermediate locks on another table, and advanced locks on another table. And so whoever shows up, we can point them in the right direction. Sometimes people show up and you just have a pile of 150 locks and have to be like, don't pick that one. Well, how much experience do you have? Okay, maybe try this one. Okay, you can try this one, but it's going to take a different technique. So I just love that I'm going to have more table space for all of the locks that I'm going to bring. So that's all I have to say. Thank you, Longhorn Lockpickers, for putting up with me for the last 12 years, 14 years, no, 12 years. Thank you, San Antonio Locksport, for willing to put up with me for the past 6 months that you guys have been working. They used to meet at a different group 2 years ago. I've been to that location as well. I've been very active in Locksport. I've been very active in the communities. I haven't gone to DEF CON yet, but I went to B-Sides in 2016 in San Antonio, and I competed in lockpicking there. I think I took like 3rd or 2nd place. There was only like 3 of us competing, so it wasn't a big deal to get excited about. But I'm going to be volunteering at the B-Sides, which means I need to sign up. I forgot to sign up. I'm going to be at the B-Sides in San Antonio on June 8th, and I'm going to be there as a volunteer, and I'm going to be assisting. I'm not running the show. I'm going to be assisting Nathan, who's going to be running the lockpicking village there, and I'm going to be bringing my hundreds of locks, and we're going to get some competitions going with those. So I'm looking forward to being a part of that, and I think that'll help get me a little bit more experience with running competitions moving forward when I start hosting competitions at Tribe Comics and Games. So I hope all that makes sense. I love everybody in Locksport. I just want to make this more comfortable for me and for everybody else that I want to bring into the hobby. I think this is a good move. My recommendation for groups that are meeting in bars is you should do one night a month meeting at the bar, and then the other night a month, the other 2 weeks, you should meet at a game store. I know that there's a Dragon's Lair in North Austin. I think there's a Dragon's Lair in every major city in America at this point, and they have so much table space. I really think that that's what some of these groups, if they want to grow the group, that's what they should do. One last thing, if I ever have to cancel for any reason, not only do I have 3 or 4 backup venues, but I have social media that I can let people know, hey, we're not meeting here, we're going to meet here, or hey, it's canceled altogether. I will update the meetup group and I will post it on Instagram, and at some point, maybe I'll create a Facebook page. But if you want to be a part of meetup, or if you want to be part of Locksport groups, you just have to create a meetup account. I know, God forbid, but I will actually let people know. So there's nothing worse than driving an hour and a half to go to a Locksport group, and then you get there and you realize, oh, they canceled because of rain or something else. So I will definitely keep everybody in the loop. I will be very active on my social media and using my platforms to help build the group and to build Locksport. I think this is a really great move. I hope you will come join me. I hope some of you will show up randomly and be like, hey, I'm this guy. And I'm like, cool. Well, sit down and get to know each other and let's enjoy some locks. So thank you all so much for watching. Let me know in the comments down below. Do you think this is a terrible idea? Am I going to fail at this? Is the comic book store going to burn down? Am I going to... let me know what your thoughts are. I think this is a good move. And hopefully the other groups won't take any shade and think that I'm trying to undercut them or undermine them. I'm still going to be a fan of what they're doing, and I'm doing my best to cohabitate in that space and put my meeting times that are alternative to their meeting times. I think it'll work out. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys next time.